remittance of money to schools. I want us to take with you 30 minutes because we have a scheduled minister for health to come and answer questions. Yours is an appendage to the order of the day. So I'll now give you an opportunity to address the House, and I'll then, before you do that, there's an MP whose question is related to this. Naisula, are you ready? If you are not, it's different. Okay. Go on, CS. Yours was about strikes, which has been called off. Okay. Go on, Minister. Yes, Melly, you are the one who brought this to the House, right? The issue being responded to. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable members. There was a question on strikes, and I wish to bring to the attention of the House that that strike has now been called off. And I was wondering whether I should be allowed to respond to that question first before I do the capitation one? Or do I proceed with the capitation one? Okay. Thank you, members. Members, as I informed the House during my last appearance before this House on the 8th of October 2025, the Office of the Auditor General reported that some of the schools that had received capitation from the Ministry of Education were non-existent. Following this report, we decided as a ministry to undertake a comprehensive verification exercise to determine the actual number of schools and learners in the country. To ensure transparency and accountability in the utilization of public resources, we decided that capitation shall only be disbursed to schools whose enrollment will have been verified. I wish to highlight the status of capitation disbursement to schools at the various levels as follows. Mr. Speaker, in the capitation cycle released for the third term, the ministry used an enrollment of 5,833,175 learners in 23,889 primary schools to request for capitation funds amounting to Kenya shillings 1,656,741,687. This amount was subsequently released to the from the National Treasury to the Ministry of Education for disbursement. A total of Kenya shillings 1,366,659, a total of 1,366,659,262 shillings has been disbursed for a total of 4,812,189 learners as follows. Number one, 16,788 schools with an enrollment of 4,295,820 learners were cleared for full capitation and paid a total of 1,220,012,880 shillings. Number two, 235,461 learners in 3,979 schools below the threshold, that is students with less than 90 learners, were paid full capitation amounting to 66,870,924. 3,065 schools which had not submitted data or submitted data in the wrong format were paid 50% of the NEMIS enrollment. This covered 280,900 learners, accounting for Kenya shillings 79,775,458. Mr. Speaker, in the capitation cycle released for the third term of this year, an enrollment of 2,430,398 learners was used to request for capitation funds for 20,927 junior schools. Consequently, the National Treasury released a total of Kenya shillings 5,702,842,725.04 to the ministry for this level of learning. Following the ongoing verification exercise, 2,943,224 learners in 20,630 junior schools have been cleared and their capitation released, translating to disbursements of Kenya shillings 5,134,773,150.80. This amount includes Kenya shillings 78,202,838.30 that was paid for 56,599 learners in 2,145
CS,
that are
in the interest of time,
yes.
When you are talking of 5 billion,
yes.
Just say 5 billion.
Okay.
If you are talking of 78 million, don't go up to 30 cents. Just say 78 million.
Well noted, Mr. Speaker. And thank you for that guidance. So there was that was paid to 56,599 learners in 2,100 schools that were below the threshold, and that is learners or schools that had students that are below 45 in number. This also includes 122 million paid for 118,000 learners in 934 schools that were paid 50% capitation based on NEMIS enrollment. The 934 schools are still awaiting verification and clearance, and the delays on verification have been caused by non-submission of data, late data submissions, and errors in data capture by the respective institutions. Our field officers are currently working with the institutions to ensure that the urgent submission of accurate data is done. Mr. Speaker, for secondary schools, the ministry received the sum of 10.3 billion Kenya shillings for capitation for third term. This was based on 3.3 million learners in 9,550 schools. The verification exercise for secondary schools is complete. Following the verification exercise, an enrollment of 3.2 million learners has been cleared, resulting in the disbursement of 10 billion Kenya shillings. Out of the total of 9,550 schools that were processed, 9,540 schools have been funded, while 10 schools have been closed down for having no learners. The following schools have closed down, and I've done a list there: Kiria Secondary School in Nyandarua, Dr. Mashage Maheto in Migori, Ragia Forest High School in Kiambu, Muwandi Mixed School in Kirinyaga, Friends Bulovi in Kakamega, Luiwat High School in Baringo, Ogamba School in Murang'a, Sintankara Secondary School in Narok, Mazuri Mixed Secondary School in Baringo, and Father Leo Staples Girls in West Pokot. Mr. Speaker, the amounts that have been disbursed to various levels of basic education are as follows. For the free day secondary school, a total disbursed of 10 million. For free day junior school, a total of 5.1 billion. Free primary education, a total of 1.7 billion, making the total disbursed of 16.5 billion Kenya shillings. The undisbursed amount from that verification exercise to date stands at 1.2 billion. As a ministry, Mr. Speaker, we are keen to clean our data and to make sure that all resources allocated to us are utilized for the right purposes and in an accountable manner. Our aim is to ensure that the resources we ask for and the decisions that we make on the use of these resources is based on accurate data that is verifiable and evidence-based. This will support all of us to achieve optimal utilization of the limited resources available. I submit.
Were you listening, or you are
Yes,
busy
yes, yes.
talking to
I was
McLeod?
listening, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to say that I asked that question on behalf of the many members of Parliament who are here, and on behalf of Kenyans because of the issues of capitation, which was affecting administration of exams and management of schools, because these money are very essential, especially in the running of schools, now that it's examination time. Honorable Speaker, you'll note that the verification exercise came in when it is actually the tail end of that term, which is a very crucial time for assessment. And many of the schools do not get money from parents. They depend on government capitations. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask the CS that, yes, it is very important, and I want to thank you that you do verification, but let's do it on time so that it doesn't interfere with the running of exams and the running of schools, so that during the holiday time, when teachers, when the sub-county directors of education and the quality assurance officers are within, they'll be able to run this exercise, and those teachers who are found to be fraudulent and to have increased the number of students or to have ghost schools, action need to be taken on them. In that, this kind of exercise is actually very important to save the taxpayer, the issue of ghost schools and ghost learners. But it should not cause a problem or an impediment to the running and management of those particular schools. I submit, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Wanjala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education has been telling Kenyans that they disbursed, and this was, in fact, last financial year, that they disbursed money to ghost schools. They even gave the number of the schools that got that were ghost, who received the money. It is this same ministry that wired the money to those schools. They must be knowing the accounts. They must be knowing the signatories. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Health recently came in and did arrest those people who have been stealing sham money. Why has it taken so long for this minister to arrest those people who withdrew the money and in those ghost accounts of schools that they call ghost schools, and those who wired the money? Because they must be knowing. For how long will we be waiting? And yet he is causing other children to suffer for nothing. He should move the way the Ministry of Health has moved. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ngare.
Thank
CS, record the interventions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, this has been a very serious issue, and I think Honorable Wanjala has raised it, the criminal culpability. I will not repeat it. But, Mr. Speaker, you remember yesterday we raised the issue of circulars, which the CS should address. Do the heads of institutions take these circulars serious anymore? Because, Mr. Speaker, the ministry has said they have issued a circular on when children should go to class. That was raised by Honorable Donya in this House. They have issued a circular on non-holding of certificates, Mr. Speaker. They have issued a circular for KCSE students not to be sent home for school fees, especially in that term, Mr. Speaker. So maybe they can tell us how binding are these circulars to the heads of institutions. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the ministry should consider giving a guidance or a regulation in terms of retiring head teachers and principals that leave schools with debt, Mr. Speaker. Because nowadays, Mr. Speaker, you find a principal has been promoted at 58 years or 59, they do whatever they do and leave that school toiling in debt after their exit, Mr. Speaker. So maybe that's something they can consider.
As a matter of interest, honorable members, I'll give you an opportunity. What you need to tell the House and the country, you are the custodian of public interest in the ministry. You license schools. children go to standard 1 with variables of transfers from one school to another, which is not order nguna, which is not substantial. How does your ministry end up at the tail end when children are going to do exams, start verification of records that you ought to have been keeping and updating all along? And how do you wire money to ghost schools when you license legitimate schools, you keep their records, you give them leadership in terms of head teachers, and you post teachers there? How do your officers end up creating non-existent schools and sending them money? You know, these are public resources. I think, members, these are some of the issues the minister should assist the House and the country on. Yes, Karolo Mondi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I saw a news item yesterday that school fees have been increased and standardized across the country at 53,000 per student, at a time when we know the incomes have not grown in this country, the cost of living remains fairly high, and a lot of parents are struggling just to pay the current fees. I was wondering if the minister could explain to this House what informed this decision and why it is so necessary at this particular time, and whether there's room to review it, and maybe if also the chairman, Education Committee, if they were aware of this increment at all, and what they said about it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mandazi, Honorable Mandazi.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. While we speak about the ghost schools, there are schools, and in particular to Chepalungu constituency, which are existing. They've been given documents to proceed and domicile junior secondary schools. Yet, the officer in charge of education in my sub-county has refused to give them an okay to open an account so that you can transfer money. This is a matter that has affected learning in the 11 schools, and I have severally reminded the relevant persons in the ministry to act about the same, but they have failed. And up to date, the schools that I'm talking about, the 8 teachers in these particular stations have called parents to ask them to transfer students to the neighboring schools. This is an issue, Speaker, that has really affected the people and the students who are from this particular schools.
Thank you. Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think this CS needs a little bit of caution, Mr. Speaker, because I sit in the Committee of Delegated Legislation. This is one ministry that is continuously and constantly giving circulars which actually have the effect or force of law and does not come through Parliament. Yesterday, as a committee, we invited the CS to come before us so that he could be able to explain to us why would the ministry decide that in third term that no parent can visit their children in school, especially those that are in boarding, yet all the parents that have children in day school, every day they are with their children at home. So we invited him to come and explain that circular. And Mr. Speaker, we got a very interesting response. He said he's invigilating some exams, I don't know in which part of the country. Mr. Speaker, the issue of exams has to stop becoming an excuse for the minister, because if there's exams going on, there are teachers that are supposed to supervise and invigilate exams. There are police officers who are supposed to provide security. The whole government cannot be going up and down pretending to be supervising exams. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it is important that the minister respects this House and stops issuing circulars that have the force of law, because Article 94, Part 5 says that it is only this House that can make law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gishimu. Oh, Taitumu, sorry. Taitumu.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Verification of students in all schools across the country, I being a teacher, is a continuous exercise. Every month, the managers of schools forward the data of the students or the learners in their respective schools. I'm asking the minister, how do you harmonize, particularly the enrollment in first term and the enrollment in third term? Because enrollment in the first term do soar. It goes up, and in that term, due to other forms of attrition dropping, the enrollment goes down. What do you do to make sure that you don't disadvantage the end teacher? Because your management is giving a lot of error to the managers of the institutions, because some of the schools were receiving money as late as yesterday. It is ridiculous, Mr. Speaker, to say that they are dealing with the Auditor General's report. If the Auditor General did not indicate, does it mean that the ministry does not have records to know when they should wire money to the schools and whether they are sending the right amount to the right schools without the report from the Auditor General?
Minister, can you respond to those? Then we'll do one last round and we'll release him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reason why we decided to undertake the verification during this time of third term is because the report came out in August. I think there was hue and cry that we are releasing money to schools that do not exist. It would have been irresponsible of us to ignore that report and continue releasing the money the same way we used to do. So we thought what is the lesser evil, to confirm the numbers that we have, or to continue releasing the money and wait for another time to undertake this exercise. So we made a decision that we will do the verification as we are releasing the money. The money was not held permanently. Every day when we completed the verification exercise, resources to those schools were released so that the schools do not suffer. Eventually, when we realized that it is taking longer than we expected, we decided to release 50% of the capitation to the schools that had not submitted the data as we continued to undertake the exercise. Meaning, therefore, that there was no school that did not receive resources to be able to undertake their continuous programs in school because of the verification exercise. Mr. Speaker, the information that I've given, it is clear that this exercise has borne fruit, because as we have completed the exercise with only 934 schools that have not completed the exercise, where 79 million has been released to 50% of the numbers that they had presented, meaning that even if we were to release 100%, another 79 million, the balance that would be having is 1.1 billion, for which was being released for numbers that do not exist. That's why this exercise was important, and we have ensured continuously that our children do not suffer in those schools once the exams were nearing. And I can assure the House here that everybody is undertaking the exams and we are on track. The information that we have collected, it is now being analyzed to determine the issues that this House has raised. Have we been releasing money to schools that do not exist? Which school is this? This is the identification and analysis that we are doing because of that verification exercise, after which we are
Minister, if the school doesn't exist, the question of which school is this does not arise.
I'm saying,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, look, for example, the 10 schools that have closed. We need to find out why did they close, because when we asked the teachers why the schools closed, they said there were no students. So now we have to go back on the records and find out previously, has money been released to these schools, so that we can determine whether there is fraud or not. We got to get some evidence in order for us to submit, so that when people are arrested, they can face the law. The position of what the Auditor General did, which was sampling, because it was a forensic audit, that data is already with EACC, and they're already undertaking that exercise of investigating, taking statements, so that they can take control of that space and charge the people who are involved. We just want to get your support so that we can be able to resolve this matter once and for all. It is true, we have records, but are these records correct? That's what we are looking at.
Mr. Speaker, I think the minister is misleading this House. EACC doesn't take away the responsibility of him as a minister. The fact that EACC are handling those files, it doesn't make that he should take actions on his officers from his ministry who wired the money. He doesn't have to wait the report from the EACC. He remains the minister in charge of education in this country, and he must take action regardless of what the EACC will do. So he should not mislead this House, Honorable Speaker.
The criminal culpability that we are talking about, that can only be undertaken by the investigative agencies. We would be able to take administrative action on the officers we find culpable, and then we hand them over to the investigative agencies to undertake the criminal process. That is already being done.
Minister, you'll help. I don't want us to take very long on this. You'll help this House this way. You have officers of your ministry in each and every county who have a duty to keep and update records of schools continuously and furnish to your ministry. That money, public resources have been wired to non-existent schools for non-existent students. How many of your officers have you interdicted for doing this criminal act? Once we get that, then the committee will follow up with you to deal with these issues.
Based on the verification exercise that we are undertaking, we've not interdicted anybody because we've not completed the analysis of the exercise, as I've indicated. We've completed the data collection, which is what I've presented here. And once we complete the exercise, we will then be able to take action. It is at that stage where we are analyzing the data that we've collected in order for it to inform us who is involved, which bank accounts, which institutions, which individuals, which officers, which sub-county, so that we can then take action against them. We can't take action against anybody based on the data that we have now because we've not concluded the exercise. That is the reason, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Millie.
Mr. Speaker, the CS is disappointing me, being an alumni of the same primary school as myself, Homa Bay Primary School. Mr. Speaker, from what the CS is saying, honestly, that does not take even 2 days. So if there are things that are going wrong, and if there's one problem that we have been facing as a country, is the issue of corruption. And we have been told that we have actually identified where there are corrupt practices. Why would we be taking so long telling us that we are trying to trace here and there? You have found that there is a school, non-existent school, and somebody has paid to a non-existent school. Can I come to your office and tell you who paid to that school? It's as simple as that. Just pinpoint who paid that non-existent school and throw them out of the office. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as ABC.
Minister, let him finish this round, then we take a few more.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
I had difficulties making that decision because the exercise is not complete. I have indicated here that there are another 934 schools that have not submitted their data. So we wanted to have this as a complete exercise, prepare a complete report, including what action we have taken. Where we think there's a crime committed, we would then forward it to the investigative agencies to undertake. It would have been premature for me to take action against officers before I confirm for sure that this is the position or this is the offense that they have committed. We are all of us taking this exercise in order to take action at the end of the exercise. That's the reason why.
Yes, I'll take three here, then we close. Rachel Nyamai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am equally disappointed, just the way the Honorable Millie Odhiambo is, because the Cabinet Secretary, who I believe is very knowledgeable, is telling us that 1.1 billion...
He is a lawyer of very good repute, by the way. I don't know why he's doing this.
Yeah, very true. So, Mr. Speaker, it is worrying to be told that 1.1 billion was released in favor of numbers or students that do not exist. Mr. Speaker, he also tells us that 934 schools have benefited from money and he is not able to verify. Mr. Speaker, there is a problem. I think it's a huge curtail that ensures that information is not provided. If it is provided, it is not provided within the right time, and that even the cabinet secretary himself could be having a lot of problems below him at the director level, at the county level, at the sub-county level, at the, which is the other level? Zonal level. So there must be a problem. And 934 schools, Honorable Speaker, is not 9 schools. It means that there is a problem of failure to provide information. These people are not providing information, have a name, have an identity card, they are known where they belong to, their counties are known, their sub-counties are known, their wards are known, and they can be arrested. It is happening in other ministries. Why not in the Ministry of Education?
Owen Baya.
Honourable Speaker, I want to say this, yeah.
Don't say, ask the minister.
I want to ask the minister.
Yes.
You know, you need to take action not only on teachers. That ministry, there are people who have overstayed in certain positions that will forever guard the information. Yourself and the PS are new there. There are people who are very strong roots, deep roots, and they will protect their system so that they continue to eat the money in that ministry. Unless you become ruthless and have ruthless focus on those people, Honorable Speaker, money will continue to disappear in that ministry. So what you need to do is do what Kiraitu Murungi said, a radical surgery in that ministry, just like they did in the judiciary, so that you can unearth, but as you unearth, it also goes with people who then you will get breathing space and space to manage that ministry. Otherwise, our children will continue to suffer if we go that way. I can assure you, Honorable Minister, you will wait for that date and it will not come. You will. I have seen it in my county. The people there protect each other. From the county director who has stayed there for over 8 years, to all the sub-counties who have stayed there for over 10 years. And everybody else is just comfortable waiting for the money from the ministry to eat the money. Honorable Speaker, unless radical surgery is done in the Ministry of Education, we will continue to say the same things here. Honorable Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As we join this, the Cabinet Secretary must be aware that, as Baya said, the ministry is full of cartels. For example, there is a deliberate process to understate the number of learners in some schools and inflate in others. How is it done, Honorable Speaker? They deliberately refuse to admit them or register them in NEMIS as it is now, on very spurious reasons, non-existent reasons at all. For example, I can tell you, Honorable Speaker, and I want to tell the Cabinet Secretary, that in Funyula constituency, we could be having about 25% of the children in school who are not registered in the ministry records and they do not get that capitation. What is he going to do to clean up the ministry to ensure there is fairness in distribution of the resources available? Thank you.
Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, listening to the CS here, I am really concerned because today there's more supervision of education in our counties and sub-counties. What didn't exist maybe during your time or my time. We have curriculum support officers, quality assurance, all the way to the divisions. So that simply means that what he is telling us, either there is no supervision or there's too much bureaucracy in education that we can have schools that don't exist, or youngsters or learners who cannot be found or registered. For that reason, let the minister explain to us, are we overemploying in education, particularly in those who are supposed to supervise? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I had requested your indulgence on a different question.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my biggest worry will be what Owen Bayer tried to allude to. How long do the county education directors and sub-county education directors stay in one station? Because, Honorable Speaker, that is where the cartel has its roots. These are the people who are forever going around schools, collecting money from the heads of institutions and threatening them on what will befall them if they don't comply. Why do sub-county education directors stay in one station for 10 years? We saw the Ministry of Interior ensuring that police, OCSs, do not stay more than 3 years in one station. Why can't they do the same so that they don't come here to tell us 934 schools have not submitted their returns? Yet, if you look, 934 divided by 47 counties, that is one day work, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Alice?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine wanted to ask the Cabinet Secretary, why don't you come back here when you have all the information instead of giving us excuses because we were here and we represent the people back at home? When you come with half-baked information, you're not helping this House.
Yes, Didmas, what is it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think all I want to ask the minister is that since when I was a small child, there are very many circulars and directives that have been issued by the Minister for Education to date. The Minister for Education, as we speak today, issued directives that students should not be sent home for levies that have not been approved by government. Most importantly, things like lunch fees and the very many other auxiliary fees that are not important. The minister has said that schools should not send these children away. Millions of children are at home for failure to pay lunch fees, which is a private levy, not a government-approved levy. So how sure are we that the minister directives that is telling this House that the principals are going to obey? Is it true that the principals of high school are more powerful than CS for education in our country? Is it true, the Honorable Speaker, that if you check at the circulars that the ministry has issued to the principals of high schools and the headmasters of JSS and primary schools, none of them have been obeyed. They have been disregarded, Mr. Speaker. We need to know if those head teachers are powerful than the minister, then we should summon those head teachers directly to here instead of passing through the minister whose directives are not obeyed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kwenya, what is it?
Mr. Speaker, one of the schools that was mentioned, one of them is in my constituency. The number one school that was mentioned, Kiria Secondary School, that was closed. And the reasons given by the minister do not hold. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, we need to interrogate the ministry properly. Because it cannot be you saying that the school was closed because of lack of students. Yet we know that TSC refused to post teachers to that school because it's the location is not so favorable for teachers. Mr. Speaker, number two, the issue of capitation. Every time we pass budgets in this House, they are premised on numbers, and numbers that are known. But when it comes to disbursement, it becomes very difficult. I think it is orchestrated within the ministry, so that then the money does not reach reach our schools, and that is a matter that we need to get the depth of. Minister? We must get to some setting, to some factory settings of this ministry, so that then it functions. Finally, the issue of county directors overstaying in one station is not an issue that can be taken lightly. They are masquerading and moving everywhere, with powers that they do not wield. Collecting money from institutions, as it has been said.
Point made. Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I indicated, we started this exercise and it is not complete. It is true that the data that I'm giving is preliminary, and I've been asking to be given time to complete it so that when I come back here...
How much time do you require? Angela, what is it?
Mr. Speaker, sir, you know the cartel that are taking this money.
I don't know.
No. I know you don't know. Thank you, Mr. I know you don't know. But Mr. Speaker, the cartels from the ministry that registers, that do all this dirty work, that deposit money in accounts are all from the ministry. Would I be in order to say that this minister who is claiming to be auditing all these documents from June to December to January, that he's playing tricks with us until we forget so that we go to next year, the same thing continues because he's a beneficiary of these cartels. Because they steal from there. The minister must be a beneficiary. And Mr. Speaker, I would ask even the president that now that he wants Akisi to be the minister for education, why can't he bring back Matiang'i?
Order. Order, Wanjala. You are totally out of order. Minister, ignore that and answer other questions.
I will.
Order. Order, Donya. Order, Donya, sit down. I have ruled Wanjala out of order. Order. I've ruled Wanjala out of order, and that material will be expunged from the Hansard. Minister, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the record, this exercise of verification, we started exactly 2 months ago on the 5th of September 2025, not June. And it is unfair to make a claim, and I've asked, give me time, I give you a report and the action that I've taken. I cannot, for example, in the middle of the verification, sack people from the office because they will litigate. It is important for us.
How much time do you require, Minister?
We want
I'll give you the time you
we
require.
want to ask for exactly 2 months because we are undertaking exams that will end on 21st. Then I come back here with the report. And this is not something that started in September. It is something that has been going on in this country for a long time. So we need to make sure that we are solving it once and for all.
Minister, as you'll order members, Minister, you can feel the mood of the House. And I did tell you, I know you are new in the ministry, and it's common knowledge that there are quite a number of underhand transactions that go on in that ministry. Please do the following. Realign your representation at every level. Use ICT to keep accurate data. A child who goes to standard 1, from your computer, you should know next year is in standard 2, 3, 4, because those records don't need to be relayed by somebody getting onto a train from Mombasa to bring to the ministry. They can wire them to you. And when you are releasing money to schools, you have records which schools you registered, which schools you have posted head teachers, which schools have bank accounts, you can verify from the accounts. How do you wire money to a school that does not exist to an account that you don't recognize or you don't have? Those are some of the questions. We'll give you time to finish verification, but you must satisfy the country that as a minister, you are a custodian of public good to protect public resources and see our schools run properly. And, you know, great men must bring change and leave legacies. Don't sit in that ministry and have it business as usual. And this House will support you if you have positive, radical changes to change the ministry. Zaisula, we are finished with that. Naisula had something different.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for that direction. I had some questions on the prolonged university lecturer strike, and I noticed that this afternoon it has been resolved. I have other questions that I will not now.
Allow you now.
Not now.
Yes.
I was just going to say, Mr. Speaker, that I will redraft them because one of the questions was the issue of what it is being done to be resolved. And since it has been resolved, just to make sure that this issue does not recur, it will be important that then I'll still ask the questions maybe next week so that the CS can give a brief to the nation on a number of other questions that I had. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Basil, what is it?
Speaker, my question is about the fate of interns. We have 20,000 interns whose contract is coming to an end in December. So what is the ministry planning to do? Do they intend to absorb them in permanent and pensionable terms? Thank you.
Minister, interns, do you have any program for interns? My phone is bursting with messages.
There is a program for interns whose contract is coming to an end in December 2025. And one of the available options, unless we get resources from National Treasury in order for us to be able to confirm them, is to extend their contracts.
Okay. Thank you. You are released. Bring in the Minister for Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ogamba, you are the one who has asked me to manage time. Yes.
Thank you.